Hi everyone, it's Clint, giving you a persuasive speech today on the effects of violent video games on behavior. Blood, gore, guts, and guns are all part of the virtual world known by children today as video games. The audacity behind the creators of such horrific fun should be shunned by the American population versus being embraced. Glamorization of murder, weapons, and violence in video games gives our youth the pretense that violence is the answer when solving conflict and confrontation among peers. The playing of violent video games creates a grouping of people who are inherently more hostile, desensitized, and less empathetic than others. Grand Theft Childhood, a book written by Lawrence Kuthler and Cheryl Olsen, would have you believe that playing violent video games is a positive social action. Their survey turned up that 76% of teens online interacting with one another report that they help each other while gaming. 44% also report playing games where they learned about a problem in society. Entertainment Software Association website stated that violent juvenile crime in the United States has been declining as violent video games popularity has increased. The arrest rate for juvenile murders has fallen 79.9% between 1995 and 2008. The arrest rate for all juvenile violent crimes have declined by 49%. In the same period, video game sales have more than quadrupled. Virtual violence is a precursor to some young adults leading to a more hostile lifestyle. Several studies have been published in the June 2010 issue of the American Psychological Association Journal. In these studies, it shows that playing violent video games is a risk factor for becoming more hostile later in life. Also explains that this hostility does not fade and last into adulthood. They also state that when hostile is rewarded in video games, teens exhibit increased hostile behavior. This was also talked about in the book that refuted violence in video games caused by teens to be more hostile, Grand Theft Childhood. 2008.com posts an article depicting 90% of teenagers play video games for 13 hours a week on average. Violent video games linked to aggression in childhood teens in health.com. This weekly rate is even higher if you associate it to teenage males. This is an outstanding amount of time to be exposed to such violence in video games. Many surveys have been done on people who have committed violent crimes and if they did in fact play violent video games in their youth. The results are astounding when showing the correlation between the two. Virtual violence is a substantial risk factor for becoming violent in later years. Murder is portrayed in video games as having no real consequence. In reality, this is falsity. Adults play violent video games for many hours over many years, have less empathy than others, and more disregard for the law. Continuously observing a virtual reality may disrupt the way people envision the world. Exposure to violent video games is linked to the lower empathy level. In a 2004 study of 150 4th and 5th graders by Professor Gene Funk, violent video games were the only type of media associated with lower empathy levels. Empathy is the ability to understand and enter to another person's feelings, and it plays an important role in the process of moral evaluation and is believed to inhibit aggression behavior. Violent video games desensitize players to real-life violence. It is common for victims in video games to disappear off the screen when they are killed for players that have multiple lives. In a 2005 study, violent video games exposure has been linked to reduce the P300 amplitudes in the brains, which is associated with desensitization to violence and increases in aggressive behavior. People emulate what they see and who they are around. Some people are more susceptible to this than others. The way people become who they are is incredibly influenced by their surroundings. Youth that is surrounded by violence, even in a virtual form, are more likely to display hostility, aggression, carelessness towards others, and, in fact, a lot of violence. That's it. Yeah.